Movies, television, books, music, games, comics. Pop culture is one of the things that makes life worth living, and pop culture can be a window into your soul. Welcome to Blew My Mind, where Shrink Tank contributors share their personal, mind-blowing pop culture experiences. I'm your host, Dr. Craig Pullman. I'm a neurodevelopmental psychologist, author, Rolling Stones fan, aspiring game show host, Trekkie, and Yoda disciple. Here with me is Dr. Kristen Daly. Kristen is an author and therapist. Her doctorate is in health psychology, and she helps clients achieve emotional, physical, and social health. Good day to you, Kristen.
Hello.
We're going to be talking about concert experiences that blew our minds. But first, how would you describe your taste in music?
Oh, okay. So my taste in music is pretty all over the map, which I know is pretty generic to say. But I always listen to alternative music. We called it progressive music before it was called alternative music.
Right.
I loved punk rock when I was in high school and college. I actually went to Chapel Hill because it had such a great music scene. That was one of my big draws to go to Chapel Hill.
Great scene there, yes.
And,
Cat's Cradle.
Yes, exactly. And I guess I'm not necessarily an older adult, but in adulthood, it's moved to a little bit more of some folk rock. It's maybe settled down a little bit, but I have to admit, I have a pre-adolescent son, and we have a mix of different rap songs we like. So it's really, and then I have daughters, so I have a mix that includes Taylor Swift and Katy Perry.
That's requisite, yep. I'm definitely about the classics, like the Stones, but in terms of contemporary stuff, I like songs that provide contrasts. For example, a hit right now is Stay by Zed and Alicia Cara. A lot of different things going on and changes in tempo and different layered dynamics. A few years ago, there's a song by Rita Ora called I Will Never Let You Down that kind of starts off easy and then it blows up at times and it comes back. I love those types of changes.
It's funny because my favorite punk rock band, Fugazi, it was the exact same thing. Slow and then loud and then slow and then loud. And I think now I like the Chainsmokers and it's very similar.
Yeah, they're great.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're awesome. So do you play an instrument?
I don't. My brother is a professional musician. I have a brother who's a guitarist in a German death metal band, believe it or not. But no, I played a clarinet for about 2 months in 6th grade.
Okay. So the magic wand, if you could just magically play an instrument, what would it be?
I think it would be bass.
That would be for me, yeah. I played trombone for years, but I would play bass guitar.
Yeah, and it goes back to I like the beat.
Right.
I need music to have like this intensity to it, and the bass is a big part of that.
I like the idea of just sort of laying the groundwork, the foundation for the band. I wouldn't need to be the front man, but just sort of laying that groundwork. So before we get to our mind-blowing experiences, what would be a dream concert that you would have liked to attend? And even if that meant firing up the flux capacitor and going back in time, what would be a concert you would like to have attended?
Yeah. So I think that I listen to more current music now. One of my favorite bands right now, Blind Pilot, did a cover of one of Paul Simon's songs. So if I could have potentially, it would be the Pixies and Blind Pilot, and then Paul Simon would probably wrap it up with his African drumming band. You know, he did a tour 20 plus years ago where he toured with all the African drummers. So it would be a combination of those three.
It's a festival.
It would be a festival.
It would be the Kristen Fest.
Yes.
All right, so mine would be the Beatles' final performance, and that was on the roof of the Apple Building in London, and that was in 1969, July 30th. They played for about 40 minutes, and you can see footage of it at the end of Ron Howard's documentary, 8 Days a Week, The Touring Years. Knowing that the band was breaking up, I think it would have been just a total mess. I've been crying, but just they played some really cool songs. Some recordings up there ended up on Let It Be, their final studio album. So, I would have loved that.
Yes.
So let's talk mind-blowing concert experiences. And for me, I need to go back to the summer of 1988, a tremendous summer for me. I had a great summer reading experience, which I've talked about in a previous podcast. It blew my mind. I had a roller coaster experience that I've always remembered. I talked about it with you in a previous episode. But this is about Jimmy Buffett. Now, actually, let me back up to 1987. I was in college, And I saw Jimmy Buffett with my girlfriend and some other friends in Milwaukee. And it was just so great. I mean, he puts on a great show. And it's just fun, party anthem music. Everybody knows the words. It was an open air arena. It just felt like summer. And it was just completely awesome. Now, in 1988, though, I was working at the concert. So I was not an audience member. And what blew my mind about that concert in '88 was the experience of serving beer.
Yes.
Basically. All right. So I worked at a beer station, and there were probably a dozen beer stations at this place, another open air arena. And my job for the 2-3 hour show was basically to pull taps down and then put beer cups under as fast as I could and just put them on tables. And then when the kegs were tapped, then I would replace them and just repeat the whole process over and over. And we sold so much beer. I didn't sell. No money changed hands with me. I was just pouring the beer, but we went through so much beer. And I was just covered with sweat and all this beer. And the funny thing is, I'm a total beer snob now. I mean, it would have been hell to go through this now because it was probably like Bud Light or something I would never drink, much less get splashed all over me. And way off in the distance, very faintly, I could hear some music, and it was just so tantalizing because I wanted to be part of the party, and yet I had to serve all the beer to people. I helped other people have a mind-blowing experience that night.
Yeah, I bet that was an insane amount of Bud Light.
Oh yeah, or Natural Light, or
whatever.
Yeah, Rolling Rock, something undrinkable, basically.
Yes, yeah.
All right, so tell us about your mind-blowing concert experience.
Okay, I think it's really funny that we both landed. There's something about we both have a reminiscence bump somewhere. Yours is 88, mine is 91. And
right.
So summer of 91 was the first ever Lollapalooza. And yes, and Lollapalooza, is this huge festival. Apparently, I fell in love with festivals early. Mm-hmm. And I remember my ticket was $18.75.
That's crazy.
I know.
That's how much a beer would cost now.
Exactly. And this was already the Blockbuster, you had the upcharge for buying a ticket at this point. But I remember saving my pennies to get the ticket. And then because I was only 15, right? I believe I was 16. No, 16. But it was in Raleigh. Raleigh was the closest it came. So my dad took me to the first Lollapalooza. And I did not hang out with my dad, but just to give you an idea, some of the bands that were there, Nine Inch Nails. No, it was not Nine Inch Nails. It was... I'll have to remember. It was another really aggressive metal band. This was when Ice-T...
Crash Test Dummies, maybe?
Oh, yeah, right. Ministry was the band. Okay, so this was when Ice-T was touring with F the Police, and, and my dad got to watch all of it. And actually, Nine Inch Nails did play because I remember this distinctly. He said Nine Inch Nails was his favorite of the bands that he saw. But Jane's Addiction was the headliner. And at the time, I was very much in love with Jane's Addiction. And
good reason.
Yeah, but their stage show involved a lot of sex acts, it looked like. And just knowing my dad was watching it was pretty mind-blowing. I was having this kind of out-of-body experience, loving what I was seeing and internally cringing about what I was seeing.
Right.
So, but really, if I could go back to that day, that was a phenomenal day. I still have a picture of me on that day that is it is probably my favorite picture of me from childhood and adolescence because
so
I am
great.
just so happy and so surrounded by friends and so in my element. And it was really the first time I'd ever been through this experience where you go from one band to the next. And I went to several of those, and all of them were great. And so the very first one was just mind blowing.
Have you ever tried to track down a recording of that concert? Do you think anyone would have?
Yeah,
YouTube?
I haven't because the whole YouTube recordings of things is relatively new to me.
It is, yeah. I'm just wondering if somebody had a camcorder there. Or...
I know, and I think it's kind of amazing that I have a picture from that day. But I mean, a sidebar, like another thing that occurred at another Lollapalooza was we had one of my favorite bands, The Breeders, which was a side project for the Pixies, happened to on stage play a favorite song from another band I loved called Subado. And there is something to having a favorite band covering a song from another favorite band.
That's amazing.
That is like the most mind-blowing experience
Right,
ever. So
right.
yeah, that kind of had to piggyback.
Great stuff. Great stuff. That is all we have time for. Our audio engineer and editor is Sean Beck. He lives for rock and roll. Thanks to my sidekick, Dr. Kristen Daly. Be sure to check out all of the content, including articles, videos, quizzes, and surveys on our website. Shrinktank.com is the place for all of your psychology and pop culture needs. Until next time, I'm Craig Paulman, and this is Blew My Mind.
Shrinktank.